Make a buddy or a boy, make a buddy or a boy, make a buddy or a boy now.
So I'm here to come to sell him again. 9.5 straight night, 20 straight night, even straight here. That guy's eat hot.
What is going on? Okay, hopefully I've got my microphone on this time. So what we have here is a 30-minute chart on the right side, and then we've got a daily and a weekly chart, and I'm going to go over the index ETFs, so the SPY, QQQ, IWM, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average ETFs. And then we'll go over the large caps for the NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500, sort of ranked out by market cap weighting. And then we'll go over a list I call the movers, which has been growing, I don't know, as I add to the list and trade various things week to week. So this week that list will look really interesting, and maybe I'll even review some of the trades that I did on some of those this week. But mainly, we're just trying to get an idea of, what the constituents of the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 are doing, and that helps us to better trade futures products and just have a sort of a bird's eye view as to what the markets are potentially doing. So anyway, at the end of the video I'll take requests, and I am on YouTube, so there's going to be some usual delay. And so without further ado, I guess let's just get into it. Let me turn some music or something on here. Let's see. Hopefully that's not overpowering, but it's nice. It's background, at least for me. Let's see. Yeah, it's nice and quiet for me. It could probably be a little bit quieter. There we go. Halved it. All right. So looking at SPY, as you can see, this is a 30-minute chart. It allows us to kind of look back. Anything that's kind of lightly shaded is overnight, so you can kind of count back 4 or 5 days. You could see this week we spiked down, everyone got bearish, and then recovered again. So we're kind of in a little balance area here, and the expectation would be that we push back down next week, but a little bit tough. So on the daily, you can kind of see that balance. We still have some gaps below us, and a pretty hefty one here at 400 to 403. But anyway, we're just in what I've heard some folks refer to as a volatility box, and we are in a little bit of a volatility box here. So today couldn't quite get back up into what was before a previous balance area. So let's see if we come back, maybe fill the gap at 410. And then let's see what it does. If it continues to push down, I would be looking at gap fill up here, right? Really no volume in here. 400 all the way to 403. And it just makes sense that we would eventually fill that. Like, it hasn't even traded yet. Look at that. Well, maybe after hours, but for all intents and purposes, it hasn't really even traded. So huge gap. So we'll see how it performs here. I don't know. Markets like to do what everyone least expects. So the sentiment out there right now is fairly mixed, I would say. People are still sort of in disbelief. So if we came back and pushed up and made new all-time highs, then came back and got that gap, that wouldn't surprise me. But for now, I've seen this trend line down here redrawn 1,000,001 times. All right, but if we come up here and we draw a trend line on the weekly, it's not going to be that accurate. I've seen people draw it like this, and then they said, oh well, it violated that, and then they just you know, well, let's put it here. So I guess you could say we're respecting that trend line right there. Here, let's zoom it in a little bit here. And I'm going to take my sweet time today. Let's see. Well, let's go like this. So if you guys want to chat, that's fine. So all right, we got that pretty tight right there. So I guess that's what we bounced off of. So what? More of the same? Is it just the never-ending bull market? Is that what this is all about? I don't know. What would be healthier is if we violate that trend line and then just go sideways for a while. Like fill these gaps, maybe push to 392 and then base. If we just keep bouncing and cruising up. Yeah, it's trend up still, but you know, the higher you go, the harder you fall. So, or you know, it's just gravity's going to take effect. So the more we keep pushing up like this, the more I'm going to expect something like this, right? The whole COVID thing. So whether it's a housing bubble or something else, or liquidity crisis or inflation, you know. So anyway, right now up here at balance, I would expect us to kind of push back in. This on the 30-minute, right? So here's our weekly trend line. On the 30-minute, you can kind of look at this as if you draw a line here, here, right here, and we come back down, that'll be a rule of 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And you know, folks will probably buy, maybe it bounces and then violates. I still would love to go see that gap fill. So anyway, that's my thought on the SPY in terms of QQQs. Hope you guys can hear me okay. If not, I waste lots of time. Should be okay though. So QQQ, lots of lines. We thought the last time we did this, which was last week, which I never left the video up because I didn't have time to edit the video because I showed my username, my Sierra chart login, email, all that stuff. So anyway, we thought that there was a chance the market, the Qs did something like this. But this is even better, right? Little double bottom action. Pull back today on support. I kind of like this better, right? Because, you know, I think markets, they need to do this to make big moves, right? Or big downs to make big moves. Again, this, nice consolidation. This, nice pullback. So, yeah, if it pushes up like this and kind of holds this channel, then curls up and rips and the channel's top is way up here, then I like it. And tech has been taking it in a nasty way here recently. So, and I've been talking about it. I'm long a lot of tech names, underwater some of them, Amazon included. But I like the long-term charts. Anyway, so QQQ didn't do quite what we thought. Little double bottom here, holding support. You can say that, you know, this area here is a short-term area of balance, right? See how we're just kind of breaking down. So I would like to see us hold the 324s area and then take a lot of stops and then push back up. So, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see what this weekly chart is doing what here. Let's see. Yeah, some sideways action. We'll see how it goes. In the general channel though, short term. IWM or the Russell, we had said it looks a little diamond-ish, I guess, but then I don't know, didn't really quite fit the pattern, did it? So anyway, Russell is just in a consolidation zone. So the longer the Russell moves up and down and tighter, the more likely it's going to build up positions who are out of traders who are out of position, and that'll usually lead to a move up or down. So we can see this big volume node building out here. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Right now, just looks like balance is from 230 all the way to about, I don't know, 210 or something. Man, what is going on with this chart? Is this... Let's just do automatic. What is going on? Okay. I'll just do an automatic here. Okay. Much better on the weekly now. Okay. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so I like what the Russell's doing. I really do like what it's doing. It's a lot of sideways. It's got a lot of room on its trend line here. So, yeah, looks she looks pretty healthy. Alright, the Dow Jones Industrials. Let's see, we can put a trend line up here now. And let's change the color on this. It's a little tough to see. I'll just make it white. Extend it out. Definitely tightening up a little bit on the daily. And on the, I mean, you can tell it's definitely tightening in this sort of broad channel. So getting a little compressed here. Now, I would still like to see it go sideways and violate this channel, but not break down for the bull thesis, right? If it violates this thing at any point, you're going to probably see a little reaction. You'll see some selling, but right now it's definitely compressing sort of into this rising wedge. I mean, I hate using the rising wedge for everything, because what ends up happening is most bull markets form a rising wedge, and most will violate them at some point. You have to redraw your trend line. That's just what normally happens. So anyway, on the 30-minute, it's not too dissimilar from the spider, where it's just in a balance here. So right, we could draw a trend line here. I don't know, if you drew a trend line here like this, obviously we've broken out of that, but I don't know, it's not like the price was kind of like zipping up and down like this in a channel and then it broke. So not a great way to draw a trend line from this top to here and then say, oh, it's breaking out. That would be a little sloppy. You can see on the daily imbalance here, right? A little bit volatile with everything else, but I think what is telling about the markets is that we had this. Okay, so the Dow went sideways, it was in balance, and then it ripped up, it came back down, and now it's made a bigger range right here. So it tried to break down, it broke down out of balance, and then it sort of like a false breakout, and now it's back into balance. So that's why I'm not getting all bearish. If we had, broke down and then held a lower area and then moved sideways, yeah, maybe, but instead we're sort of making more volatility and pushing right back up. So this didn't act like much resistance right here, this left side. So that's why I tend to lean a little bit more bullish on the markets. All right, so next thing, let's get into the top market cap weighted stocks. First we have Apple, if it'll load. I am currently long Apple. I think I'm long from around 126.5 or so. So I started getting long right as it pushed up here. So haven't been stopped out yet of Apple. But anyway, 30-minute. We can remove this. no longer valid. Where does this come from? Let's see. That was some prior analysis. We can get rid of that. All right. So some, let's see, unfilled gap here. So below us down to 120. I would add if we filled that gap. Let's see. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah. We could redo this channel just a little bit, a little more accurate. Anyway, I would add in here. Stop is still going to be like 112. That's where it gets, to me, gets a little crazy. I want to take off risk at like 112, but you know, we got more gaps here still that are unfilled. But this thing's gapalicious, so whatever. I think I mentioned last week, so if you were live last week, I mentioned it's not really a valid head and shoulders for the reason that the neckline is elevated like this. So not a fan of looking at it as a head and shoulders. That said, it's not the prettiest pattern in the world. Anyway, so in balance, so if Apple breaks, I don't know, 128, I think the next level would be like 131. Yeah, right in this area, 131. So that would probably be the next area of resistance. So 131's right up here looking on the weekly. So a little bit of an LVN in there. And then we got 134. So yeah, 134. So 131 would be the next short-term resistance, right? The bottom here, and then sort of the tops here. So I would expect there would be some folks looking to get out, break even or something. So, but we'll hold it. I'm in a long-term position on Apple here, going and seeing if we can break out of this whole area up here. So, okay, next one is Microsoft. And Microsoft is still making higher lows. So higher highs, higher lows. Microsoft is in a buy zone here. Pretty obvious, right? So broke out here, held this prior high. You know, it's not perfect. This is good. This is a good thing when it pushes down, gets all the stops, and then keeps pushing higher. So anyway, did the same thing. Microsoft moves often in this way. Goes, stops folks out, and then usually pushes up. So I like Microsoft. Still long. No reason to start looking short on Microsoft. Just doesn't have, you know, the structure's just fine on it. Still sort of in a channel. You know, if you drew a trend line from here through here, you would say, oh well, it's violated that, right? It's the extreme edges, but it's not necessarily a trend. There's a trend here. There's a sideways trend. I guess a range here, right? And I guess you could say, if you really want to look at it short term, you could say that the trend is more something like, you know, like this or something. And then you could just, you know, say this is a short term channel or something. But anyway. Let's see. Okay, that was last price. Okay, so anyway, done with Microsoft. Let's go to Google. And Google looks good too. I mean, yeah, it's a little crazy, but it looks pretty good. Pulling back, consolidating, pulling back, still in the channel. Right? We got our buy zone on Google based on the creating a channel off the tops. You see that? I don't know if you can see it. Let's zoom in a bit. You see how we got a buy zone based on this upper channel, right? Just a loosely drawn up upper channel kind of gave you an idea of where to buy, right? Within the channel. So, you know, 22.12, 22.10, and we're now $100 higher. So if you bought based on the, you know, probable channel support, then you're good. You're just, you know, continue holding long essentially until it breaks. I mean, play the trend until it fails you. All right, next thing. Amazon. This has been a heartbreaker. This has been a heartbreaker. So made a double top here. Here, let's we'll make it in red here. Right here to here. You see that? Almost a perfect, yeah, just about a perfect double top. I don't know how close it was exactly, but it was darn close. And so it's tried. But this is now, you know, I'm gonna view this as, let's see. Trying to select this thing here. All right, now we're going to view this as balance, a little bit higher. Can you believe I sold right into 36.50 on earnings? I had bought some back in here, and I sold that whole position. And I just said, well, I'm just going to be happy with it. And I thought it was just going to continue to push up, and I got it right there on earnings. And then I bought some for the long term right in here, and it's still pushing down a little bit, so we'll see. A little bit of an inverted head and shoulders on the 30-minute, so I don't know, it's not a bad pattern where you kind of come down, make a sort of this big swooping low, kind of a cumulative, and then here it's, you know, it's still in the downtrend, but if we can push up out of, well, let's see, I'll show you here, like that. And then, let's see if I can find, where is this? Come on. Oh, it's already on the screen? Well, then where is it? Yeah, I guess it's not really on the screen, is it? Okay. I guess we'll just put this over here or something. If it can do this and then break that, then it's off to the races likely, right? So, you know, this'll be resistance short term right here. So, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Still like Amazon's long-term chart on the weekly. I mean, the more it moves sideways like this, the better off it is. I mean, look at that. I mean, it could be just a gigantic head, in which case we're all fucked, you know. But pardon my French. So, but I'm not going to bet on the end of the world with stocks. Not until we get something much more ominous. I just got to keep trading every day. So anyway, so that's Amazon. We'll get this out of the way. That is Amazon. Not much to see on it. It's, you know, sort of just back in the range, and probably a buy around 31.30 if we can get there. So we'll see. But Amazon, not particularly bullish, right? Google looks good. So just keeping track of Fang or Fatman G. Facebook, we've been bullish Facebook here for a little bit. Here, we'll get rid of all this garbage. And let's see. Yeah, Facebook is almost hit a measured move here. Really darn close up here. So I wouldn't call Facebook particularly bullish. It needs to set up, doesn't it? So there's another one. Not quite stupidly bullish. I'm thinking about those SPY gaps. That's what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at this. Tesla. So Tesla kind of holding this little funky little trend line here. See that? But in a downtrend, I mean, I would like to see it come all the way down here to like 475, 500. First, I'll be a buyer. I will give that a chance, right, on that high volume node. But second of all, that would form a nice complex retracement. And then everybody in the world will get bearish Tesla. And that's what I want. Like, there's already a lot of Tesla bears out there, but this would just bring them out and everybody would start shorting. So anyway, that's what Tesla looks like on the weekly. So I would love to see it come back here, and then you would just get everybody going, oh, see, I told you so. And then I'd like to see it come back, do a rule of 3 on the weekly, and then just destroy all those shorts. Go back and at least go for a double top or something. Can you close the door, please? Thanks. Anyway, short term on Tesla. Let's see. Gosh, I love trading this stock. It just moves so nicely. Daily downtrend, weekly uptrend. So we have this trend line. I know it's a little messy. What is, that's that old one here. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So that's that weekly, which we broke, right? There was a lot of buyers in here. 635s. I mean, a lot of them were like, okay, this is gonna, you know, do a little diamond triangle thing in here, and boom. And I thought, you know, that's a possibility, but I want to see it be really strong. I want to see it break that trend line before I do anything. But at first pass, you know, I like to call this first pass, like the first time something hits an area, I'll just be a buyer. It'll be either a good day trade or a good swing trade, I think. Unless there's some catastrophic news. Which point, you know, I wouldn't step in front of something like that. Something like Boeing-esque, right, where it had huge problems with their, you know, with one of their jets, crashes and all that. So if there's like some massive hack or something, and you know, Tesla's, all their cars are, you know, someone's causing them to crash, or I would just be like, yeah, I'm not touching that. But so it's obviously news dependent. It's not just technical analysis, but you know, if everything continues as it is, right? There's no major missteps by Elon or Tesla or anything like that. It's all just spin. Then I'll be a buyer. Just straight up, I'll be a buyer. And no matter how crazy this feels at the moment, I will be a buyer. Anyway, enough on Tesla. So not particularly bullish short-term Tesla. Just saying. That's another one. So Fatman G, Fang, Facebook, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, Google. So we haven't covered Netflix. Where is Netflix in this list? Maybe I'll just cover Netflix, and that'll be the end of Fatman G. Netflix is interesting here. So I just think it's a buy right here. And Netflix is, what are they going to get into? Video gaming. So probably will expand their market share. So on the weekly, again, big base. It's not a bad thing, right? And the sort of bases with horizontal, clearly defined horizontal support resistance lines like this, the best to buy, the best, because once they break, it's like they usually double. So and that would put what measured move? What is it? Let's see, 460 to 570, 110. So 680-ish, 685. So anyway, it's not going to get there overnight. I need to add some more Netflix to the long-term portfolio. I like it here. I like it. I'm gonna definitely buy some next week. And I like that it pushed up off of this low here. So good news. Yeah, we'll be a buyer. Let's see. Yeah, so this is sort of a local trend here, right in this area, and you know, good news on the whole video game thing. So sold off a little today, but relatively strong. So we'll be buying more of that. Okay, so back up to JP Morgan. Just been bullish banks. No reason not to be. Same old, same old. I mean, back on the trend line, just higher highs and higher lows. So No reason not to continue to be bullish. Visa broke the trend. This little, or I should say this tight channel here on the daily. And then on the weekly, so let's get rid of that. That's little, just want to see how this thing looks like, what it looks like on the weekly. Yeah, so on the weekly came down and probably got a whole lot of stops here, violating this trend line. That's a bullish chart. I mean, this is a nice retest of prior highs of this trend line, and you know, any sideways curling up action is probably going to lead to another impulse. That would be my guess. Johnson and Johnson broke out. Sort of. Let's see. God, what did we say on Johnson and Johnson? What's the measured move? Target up there. Jeez. Plus 45. Yeah, this is crazy. This is a crazy. So what I'm looking at with Johnson and Johnson is a much bigger pattern. Inverted head and shoulders, elevated right shoulder. So Johnson and Johnson has been just basing. It did the head, did a truncated or higher right shoulder relative to all these areas here, and then it broke out, and so it came out, came back in, and now it's pushing up. And so the measured move on this thing is like up here based on this. So that's what it's based on. It's not based on a sort of a local time frame. This is a weekly chart down here, so it may take a lot of time, but my goodness, watch them come out with some amazing product or something, or many more products. Anyway, let's see. I'm just speculating. Walmart. 30 minutes. Let's see what happens here. Nice. Oh, let's put this as white here. Nice little triangle here. So let's symmetrical triangle. Let's see what it does. Right? If it squeezes here, you would expect it to move up, right? Just based on what it's been doing. Higher highs, higher lows. This was a little weird, right? A little broadening formation. That is interesting. Let's see. Right. So this kind of thing on the daily. Yeah, that is interesting. That gives me pause. That gives me pause on Walmart. Did fill this gap already. Up here. Pushed right back off of it. Interesting. Yeah, I'll hold my opinions on Walmart. But anyway, on the weekly still looks fine. I'm going to watch that one next week. MasterCard. Kind of this rising wedge. Not a whole lot of opinion there. Disney. Who was telling me that they expect Disney to be a buy, and it's going to fall a lot? I don't remember who it was. Was it Mitch? Might have been Mitch. Anyway, some gaps down here for sure. Not very exciting action on Disney here. It's a lot of overhead supply right here. I mean, this is a lot of when you get a breakdown like that, descending triangle, the measured move on this thing is still quite a bit lower into this LVN. So would not surprise me. Let's see, multi-voop. Visa looks bullish on the daily after sharp down move. All that supply was absorbed on the way high. Yeah, maybe multi-voop. Maybe. Charting on a Friday, this is the way. Yeah, I don't know. I already hung out with my family for a little bit. So, came back home, did some things. Now I don't know. I'm pretty chilled out, just enjoying this. Let's see. So Disney, you know what makes me want to multi-voop? You make me want to go back to Visa. Where was it? Visa, right there. Yeah, no, Visa does look bullish. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm thinking of MasterCard or something when you said that. Okay, so back to Disney. Let's see. Bank of America. I mean, look on the weekly. Look at that channel. Just like, whoop. I mean, hasn't had any kind of crazy blow off. It's not anywhere near its trend lines or channels. It's just bullish. It's just bullish. Little kind of broadening formation type thing here. Huh. Anyway, 30-minute on Bank of America. Look at these trend lines. Look at how precise. Look at this. Look at that. Just boom, boom, boom. Just keeps trucking. That's nice. Procter Gamble. Yeah, multi-foop. I don't know. We'll see. Disney looks like it's got some air underneath it. We'll see. Procter and Gamble, I mean, I guess broke the down channel here. It's a nice kind of almost complex consolidation. We said this is areas definitely support. Broke the channel, came back, tested it, trying to push back up. This is nice action up here, so we shall see. We shall see. It looks more bullish than bearish. Home Depot. Man, I've been saying that these moves are overplayed. So this is the measured move objective. It tried to go further and failed, right? And that often happens when you get like a measured move, right? And there's the measured move. Everyone's just like buy the pullback and it goes, and then all of a sudden you get a massive failure. So everybody was rotated into these, so this sector rotation into these names, and now that's a little played out. So I don't know, we'll see. It's on the weekly. It's on its 10 period. But it wouldn't surprise me to see it come all the way down to 293. Would not surprise me at all. Like the look of this daily, you get this 20 and then this rising 50. And see how they're all starting to spread out here? The 200 is at the bottom, the 100, the 50, and then the 20. And it was all just getting spread out. So right here, right, if you just sort of ignore what's, like, you see how spread out the moving averages start to get? Here's the 200, the 100, the 50, and the 20. And when they start to really spread like that, what tends to happen is you get a pullback. Right? So that's what happened. The moving averages, no. They don't really know. It's kind of like Bollinger Bands or something like that, right? So I've been saying on NVIDIA, right? They're doing, it's closely connected with crypto, and what NVIDIA did is they did something smart. They did a 4-to-1 stock split. I think it was 4-to-1. Anyway, that always drives up price. So my guess is they are distributing that bad boy, and that is one smart way to do it. So good on them for announcing that, and maybe we get some sort of blow off, but I still think NVIDIA is triangle-ish, but yeah, not exactly the most promising kind of consolidation for NVIDIA, in my opinion. And let's see, PayPal. So this has been my idea on PayPal for a while. It's a nice looking chart, actually. So we'll see. It's kind of bounced here off this area. You could put a trend line here, but we'll see. Still needs to break essentially this rough downtrend line. Let's see. Oh, jeez. All right. When I right-click and see a chart, it's supposed to bring it back to the crosshairs right away. It doesn't. The delay is. I click too fast, and then it doesn't perform as it should because I'm impatient, and then I end up waiting longer. Okay, so that's really what it needs to break. So you got it 1, 2, possibly 3 in here. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. But it looks like it's trying to bounce here a little bit. So again, I would want to be a buyer at like 210 on PayPal, anywhere from I don't know 215 all the way down to 204. Right, and then you can put your stop at like 185 or something like that. Right, a little below the volume node. Go in small, and then you know you've got 60 to $100 of upside potentially for $30 of downside. So I like that for a long-term swing play, like portfolio long-term swing play. But I wouldn't be a buyer here, but maybe here. If it breaks it, it looks like it's going to break it. If it starts to get close, I'll probably start buying at 250 or something. If it just gets close to that trend line. And then we've got a high volume node here, so 266. I'd probably take it off and then wait to see how it reacts, because most things pull back and then they go. So take off most, maybe take off 70%, 75%, and then look to see how it reacts, and then if it starts to bounce, then buy it again, 260. I would like to buy it for less than what I sell it if it starts to break out here. So the key would be look at how it reacts if the trend line starts to push up outside of it again, then try to buy it for $5, $6, $7, $8 less than where I sold that 75%. That would be my approach to it. Intel, big old gap up there. Not a huge fan of the Intel chart on the weekly. Alright, it's just a super messy chart. Look at that. Look at all the volatility, right? Just all kinds of volatility. So, not a huge fan of Intel. I'm not even going to spend too much time on it. Alright, ASML. This thing's going to come back to planet Earth. It's got too much unfilled structure underneath it. Is the problem. Like this is fine, right? And then it pulls back, consolidates, and then it rips. And yeah, it pulls back, but it should have gone here, pull back, shake out some longs, make another move. It's too much too fast. Like, yeah, there's some pullbacks, but it's too much too fast. The next pullback is going to be something like breaking this trend line. Foomp, and then it's going to go fill all these little mini gaps. I've seen this too many times. Anyway, well, whatever. For now, let's see. For now, nothing has happened. Alright, Comcast. I hate you guys. Alright, let's see. I get decent speeds on Comcast. I think I'm at like 200. I don't remember, 200 megabytes a second or something. But my upload speed, someone said they don't want you to be a YouTube star. 6 megabytes or 7 megabytes per second. Something stupid slow. But my download is decent. So double top. So if it breaks, gosh, that is support, but it's kind of interesting because, you know, it is a nice clean double top, but you've got support right here. So, you know, sometimes these just turn into trading ranges. So we'll see. Yeah, there's support right in there, 52C right in that area here. So ExxonMobil, little double top action here. Looks a lot like the QQQ did, right? Tried and then failed. So, but kind of on support here. So it's already bounced here and then came back. Trying to move sideways. Yeah, I'm not going to be a buyer on this. Not yet. Coming into summertime. I don't know. It's moving on. Verizon. Inverted head and shoulders. On the weekly. It's just the way this thing's moved. Look. Come down. Come up. Down. Another shakeout. Come up. It's probably just a good long-term buy. Coca-Cola. Time to get rid of this. We have been saying that, or I had said, for a while, that, let's just get this out of the way. That this area here is just an, would be most likely just a grind. But that's what it usually does, doesn't it? It just grinds. I don't really like how, I mean, but look here on the weekly. You see that? Gives you a lot of opportunity to, I guess, outperform the trend. So Coca-Cola might be a sell here and then a buy here. Right? If you just, here, let's see. If you just go like something like this, right? And just say like, well, this is kind of how it's moved. So, I don't know. You buy the 50s, sell the 56s. Nice long swing trades, months at a time. And then set your stops, I don't know, down here. One way to play it. Yeah, trading range. Yeah, but you just look at how it's moved here. It's a little crazy. We already did Netflix, Adobe. I was mentioning last week, like, I've got this little channel, but I don't like it. Like, I prefer to view it just as a horizontal trading range. So if we look at it that way, you know, let's see. Where are my price zones here? Let's see. You kind of like, you sell this area and then you buy this area. We'll leave that up there. Let's see how that performs against that thesis. Cisco. Yeah, didn't Cisco make a big move? Yeah, I thought it did. Ooh, that's nice. That is nice. Let's see. The volume here. Wow, look at that. That's going to destroy shorts. That is interesting. I would have liked to see this move on lower volume and this to be even higher right here on this downside move. So whoever bought was willing to just buy all this resistance. You can see, like, it's one way it's conviction for buyers, but it just depends. If we push up out of this, ooh, it's gonna rip. So not a huge fan of Cisco's pattern on the weekly, but this short term, oh man. Well, as long as we hold this and then we break, I don't know, 53.5, but as long as we hold 51.38, we're golden. Wow, that's a nice chart. I love those kind of fake out moves like that. You get some sort of bad earnings or bad something, and then good news right, and it's like, phoom, and just all those people that are out, they're all out of position, and it makes for usually an explosive move. Broadcom, let's see, out of this tight channel, but looks like it could be into a trading range here. Obviously that's what it's in, so looks like it's got a little bit of upside left, but this is because of this consolidation area, and where it broke down here, this is also resistance, but so you might expect some chop and then for it to push up higher. Yeah, so some chop and then a little higher. Texas Instruments, I've been bullish this guy. Beautiful, nice, right on the buy area in this channel. So I hit the 176s and we're right back to the upside. So just in this nice on the weekly. Nothing too well, I guess it does look a little crazy. But you see how it broke out of this base? So it hit its measured move, went a little higher, came back in. So it's kind of similar to what Home Depot did, right? That's interesting. Anyway, Costco. Been bullish Costco. It is at resistance here. It's got the look of building out a trading range, so we'll see. Qualcomm. How long is this video already? 50 minutes. Jeez. You see that? If it moves through the volume node with strength, get long. Right? So there's the volume node, just pooped out of the volume node. So never did that. Never got long. So Qualcomm, another one of those names. It had a lot of people who were fundamentally bullish on it long term. You see how the moving averages fanned out like crazy? Again, see 200, 100, 50, 20, and then boom, just dumped. It's usually a sign of being overextended. Just saying. Look, moving averages fan out, dump. It's just pretty common. You want to be buying when they're all compressed and it's got a nice base and it's setting up and it's curling up. Not when they're all fanned out like this. A little bit more challenging. Anyway, let's move on from this. Amgen. It's a little bit like Coca-Cola. Gives you all kinds of opportunities to outperform the trend. So Amgen probably in a sell here. You might be able to buy somewhere in this area here, the 210 to 230 range on the weekly, so wouldn't surprise me to have it come back down in here. Could go higher, but I wouldn't buy up in here. Not I. No, thank you. Wait for it to come back into the 223s. Probably even buy some puts up here or something. Some 2 or 3 month puts, something like that, or some spreads, bear spreads. Okay, so now we get to the movers. BYND. Ah, this broke my heart. Right? That was long. BYND in here somewhere. I stopped right here where I said I was going to stop. So good thing for stops, right? So wrong on BYND, wrong enough to be stopped out. So I guess we could put a trend line here, here, and then here, and it's attempting to make a stand here. I don't know. But BYND had the Tyson Foods announcement playing against it, and Tyson Foods typically, well, they said they're going to get into the whole vegetarian burger stuff, and then Tyson Foods a big company with lots of distribution, so they can really flex their muscle and hurt BYND. And I've never tried BYND product, so I don't know if it's any good. Yeah, but anyway, moving on from that. Discovery. I've been saying on Discovery now for a while that the hedge fund, if they were buying here, right, and they were buying here, the one that was liquidated, if there are no longer interested parties, we could see a retracement all the way back down, which is why I got out. I got out at 36, I think it was. I don't know, I posted it on Twitter. It was back in here somewhere. Yeah, it was a loser. It was a little bit of a loser for me. I tried some here, it didn't go. I took off. I tried some in here, it never really went, and so I just got out. It's like, no, this is not behaving how I want it to. So I know people are bullish on this fundamentally for various reasons, but when charts behave this way, sometimes it indicates that insiders know something that we don't. And again, going back to the Archipelagos capital that blew up, if they were the ones buying down in here out of this base, then we can expect lower. So, and I've been saying that since 37, 38. It's not like this is something new I've been talking about. If anybody's watched my live videos, I repeat it week after week. So I have some buddies that are long Discovery, and I hope it reverses and moons. I think who was it? Soros may have bought some Discovery. I don't know which shares it was, but and I think they were talking merger or something on this, but did not behave very well. So I don't, I'll have to see. Maybe Soros already dumped his shares. Maybe this is Soros. Who knows? Maybe he found something. He said, I'm out. I don't know, but not good. And I thought this would be a nice buy zone right in here off this area, but I have not touched it since. I came up with this idea that, well, if this is Archipelagos buying from here, let's just see how it reacts here. If it has no real reaction, and it didn't, it's just been selling off, well then I just don't want to be a buyer. You can just see no reaction, just one initial, right, at 32, and then it bounced to 34. But for the most part, this is a constant selling kind of pattern here. So just it does look like a crypto. I was pretty happy. I sold some BCH today. I bought, let's see, I bought I bought 675 on Binance, sent it over to That's cashing out some crypto. So I do that via BCH. It's cheap, and then sent it over to Coinbase and sold it for 686, 687. So pretty happy about that. I don't know where it's at now. I don't really care, but as long as I make money on the transaction, I'm happy. Let's see. So DKNG, we're bullish or bearish off this area here, and we had the breakdown. So I don't know. It's on this high volume node. I would expect it to bounce here, at least up to 49. So $4 or $5 upside would not surprise me. GME, kind of holding this area. So, you know, not exactly the massive breakout everybody's looking for, but yeah, I've got to ask some people. People have some strong opinions on this one. There's a trader that likes to trade these setups, and he says that there's some upside and potential just technically in this setup. So I don't know if that's still valid or not, but I don't know. Tulips, that's what I think. Micron. So this is what we were saying, uptrend line, potential supply here, right in this area. And it was. I'd been calling this for a while. Like, a lot of supply here. And we got that rollover. So, not a fan of buying this pattern. I mean, I think maybe it comes back up to the underbelly of this HVN in 85s, but I would not be surprised for it to move lower. This is a very Bitcoin-esque chart here, isn't it? The way it moved. You know how Bitcoin went 45 to 60 or something? Tried a false breakout into 62, 63, rejected, made a lower high, broke support. Now it's coming back up a little bit, or it was. So very much the same kind of pattern. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the volume profile for Bitcoin looks similar. Anyway, Peloton. The future. It's coming up into this trend line. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Ugly, ugly pattern. You know, it's like I've been talking about this picture perfect Head and Shoulders, but it's almost too perfect, isn't it? Higher left shoulder. Here's the head, and then this shoulder. But you know, look at that volume. You see that volume? Big time volume, and then it's coming back up on lower volume. Probably bodes well for longs. And then you got this trend line right here. Oh, it's not terrible for the longs here. Anyway, TSM. I'm long Taiwan Semiconductor. I added today. Where did I add? I added at 112.5. So the ad is underwater. That's okay. You gotta look at it from a daily perspective. And I'll add on this thing as it moves a little lower too. I'll add into 100s like I've been talking about for a while. So I would love to see a complex retracement, but this thing is moving so smoothly. So smoothly. So Workhorse. I see dead traders. Zoom. I'm long Zoom. I'm in profit on this. I added right here the last week and a half. I added into this area, so I'm in profit on it, and I'm going to be holding long term on Zoom. I do think that when this thing pops, it's gonna this is just a nice looking chart. I think it's gonna rip. Good pick given the supply chain issues. I don't know what that's referring to. There's probably 30 to 40 second delay, and I don't remember what I talked about even 30-40 seconds ago. Oh, probably TSM Indigo is probably referring. He's saying good pick given the supply chain issues. I think that's what's well known. Yeah, TSM. Okay, I think that's what's well known, but it's just a good company. I think the supply chain issues are, it's kind of an over talked about thing at this point. Everybody knows about it, so that doesn't come in. It's already priced in, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Zoom is a nice looking long-term chart. Check it out. Check it out. That's sustainable. Yeah, it got really crazy and parabolic. I get it, right? All the way down here, but this is like a Tesla chart, right? Good company, it's a growth company. It bounces where it should bounce. You see that? It's just nice, right? Tries to fill gaps and rips because everyone wants it when it gets close to the gap fill. This is what you want to see. Shit, I should own more Zoom. Okay. Boeing. Someone was pointing out the Boeing chart to me. Mitch. It was Mitch. Mitch was pointing out the Boeing chart. Man, look at the gap-aliciousness on this thing. Jeez. Okay, he was zoomed in more. Something like this. I'm all zoomed out because I like looking at the diamond reversal on Boeing. Look at that. RJ, if you're out there, do you remember this? Remember I was calling diamond reversals and I bought a fuckload of puts? Remember that? And then it bounced again and I was like losing my mind. Like, golly, this is such a reversal pattern. Remember that, RJ? And then I made some money on the puts when it started to drop, but I was so happy to be out of the trade. Like, because when it, I was starting to buy puts in here, and then it rallied on me. I don't know if you remember that. Like, I remember that like it was nothing, man. Like it was yesterday. And then I closed my puts here, and they were like 3-week expiration. So what was that? I just know that it was like 1, 2. Yeah, see, it's like it dropped. It dropped like 150 points or something like that, and I was like, fuck, I could have tripled my account or something. I had a lot of Boeing puts right here. I was probably in a little over my head as it bounced, and then, man, I covered way too soon. That's one of those that got away. Anyway, so I like to look at this thing. Look at that. See your chart doing it again. Okay, back to the crosshairs. Okay. So Mitch was pointing out on the daily that this is a nice look over here. And Mitch, I think I agree with you. Could do something here, huh? It could do something. Look at that. Yeah, that might lead to something. And then resistance at 254, so $20 for stop maybe 218. If you can get long at 234, 235. People are going to be seeing this after their reviews over the weekend. Wonder if it gaps up or something. So anyway, let's say you get long 236, 237, stop 218. So what is that? An $18 stop for what is $18? It's like a 1-to-1. For at least the TP1, it's a 1-to-1 risk reward. Because if you put your stop too close, look at this gap, come back, get your stop. I don't know, I like putting stops in places that say the trade is invalidated. I don't know, maybe you can make an argument for a tighter stop. I know I can do that. I know I can do that. It's not trend lines in my mind are just general areas. It's not like it's an intraday 5-minute. On those I try to be a little bit more precise. Or like a 2-minute chart, because then we get some fuckery around that. And I like to scalp it sometimes, but this is a daily chart, man. I'm just looking at the general pattern. But good suggestion. Anyway, Unity software. I said kind of looks like a bearish chart, continuation pattern, but what do I know? Anyway, No opinion on that anymore. Unity, you're going to go the way of the dodo bird. You're out of here. Okay. Baba. It's just not a bad high risk stock to buy. It's just not. Jack Ma, where are you? Are you still okay? Anyway, Rocket. God, stopped out on this motherfucker. I was long Rocket at 22, hoping for 25. Just some rant, and then it had earnings, and it just did this. Relatively new company. I don't know. It'll probably get a headline and a pump, but not a great look. Telling you, it's a sleeper. I've already said that before with BYND, but this BlackBerry is a sleeper. It's gonna pump again. It's gonna rise like the Phoenix and do something stupid. I could feel it. I could see it just trickling, starting to slowly grind up. $12, here we come, sometime in the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months. So it's a long time to hold up capital for a maybe pump, but it's got the look. It's got the look. Let's see. AM Applied Materials had earning. Oh wait, was it Applied? Yeah, Applied Materials had earnings, and they had good earnings. It's solid company. Looks very good. This is a complex retracement. So shout out to AG Adam Grimes. And where did I put this thing? Okay, like you see this? Foom, 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 like this. And we're now at the trend line. Good earnings. It's set up really nice. Didn't go anywhere crazy, but the earnings were good. I'm telling you. Let's do it. 150 incoming. Buy. It's on the buy list. All right. Digital Turbine. This was on the list because someone requested it. I think I don't have any opinions on it anymore, and I don't know if that person's around, so it's off the list. Okay. Etsy. Yeah, GME and BlackBerry, kind of similar. Kind of, except BlackBerry's at depressed levels, whereas GME is not. So GME is still vastly overvalued, whereas BlackBerry is not at this point. Etsy with the diamond reversal. Look at, I leave my notes up there that say, because my opinion is continuation, and it was a reversal. See? I'm not afraid to be wrong. It happens. That's trading. So we got the reversal. So what this does is it gives you a nice risk reward, right? You can put your stop up here if it breaks down, and you get a nice 3-to-1 risk reward. I expect more downside just based on this pattern, a little bit, maybe down into 142s or something like that. Tried to make a stand. I don't know, maybe it goes fills the gap then rolls over, but whatever. Let's see. Square. See? Sometimes I'm right too. So what did I say when we were up here? How many weeks ago? If you guys watch this from week to week, I said it looks like a trading range developing, and I explained the whole thing because of how it comes up, makes a false break, comes back down, kind of holds, starts to push up again. I said, well, what these typically do is I made the red line before the move, right? Doesn't have to be the exact rate of change or anything like that or angle, but it happened to be. It's just the idea is that it's most likely going to pull back and create a trading range. So Square's in a buy area, as crazy as I know everyone's like bearish Square for fundamental reasons and other reasons, but typically when the news is bad like this and everyone's like, piece of shit stock, didn't do what I wanted it to do, fix them up. See what happens. Put your stop. You can see this thing fanned out even too. Look at the fan. Look at the fanning on this. Still pretty fanned out. But anyway, we would want to see all these moving averages get little, kind of come together a little bit, and then start to try to curl up. But it's in a trading range, so not bad. Roku. I like Roku. I like the pattern. It's again, right? Push up. I mean, maybe a little more would be nice of a pullback, but it's already starting to go right now, so nothing wrong with that. Let's see. What's the pattern? Just to visualize it, right? Starting to do something like that. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's see if it pushes up and then pushes back in, holds, and starts to curve. Just buy it. You can even start to buy it here and maybe take off. So it's got how much upside left in it? We're at 329. A resistance 365. So if you get long here, let's say, what is that? Let me get rid of this pen. So you get long at 330. You have upside of resistance right in here. 370. So 40 points of upside. Short-term stop. I don't know. In this case, I'd probably do something. I'm just looking on the weekly. I'd probably put my stop under the trend line if I was going to make such a short-term play, like something like this. So I'd get long here, 330, and stop right underneath this weekly candle. So 302, so 30. Yeah, see, it turns out to be 1.25 to 1 Rs, or something close to that. I don't know. I don't know, I think it's a high probability play still. I think it's likely that's going to happen. Wouldn't be good if it rolls over right here, though. So I put that trend line, it's right there on that trend line. Looks decent on the weekly, but I would wait for it to show more strength. I probably wouldn't buy it right up in here. That's just me. I'd like to see it come down, then come back up. Yeah. Base a little bit more for a move up. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Thinking too hard about that one. Okay. GRW, grow generation. It's an interesting chart. This one is also kind of Bitcoin-esque. I think it's a bearish chart only because it came up, came down, higher low, lower high, higher low relative to this point, and then it rolled over. So consolidation, couldn't hold it. Pushing down to this low area and it hasn't bounced very much, so it doesn't look so great. Anyway, I'm going to take this one off the list. Alright, that's grow generation. Let's see, where are we at? Palantir. I see dead traders. This one needs to take a totally different form than what it took already. So I like looking at it every week, but alright, coin. I feel sorry for so many people who bought coin at the IPO. My suggestion was buy it at 250. And then, day trade it. So we already had the 250 pop to 305, and now it's rolling over. And with crypto suffering, like I've been saying forever, You know, crypto, they IPO'd when crypto was hot, and that's very smart. And, you know, this thing is just going to suffer, I think. You know, unless Bitcoin makes another big run, but you never know. Now that we're below 250, I'm going to talk less bearish about coin, only because that was the valuation at the IPO. So anyway, looking at this 30-minute here, right? It's definitely butt up against, well, it was something like this. I don't know. Peter Resnicek has opinions about Coinbase, I think, so maybe check him out. Maybe he has something to say about it. Pinterest holding the trend line. It's weird. Oh, yeah, anyway. I was just saying it's got all the appear, like, it would not. I think Pinterest is a buy right here. I think it's gonna go up and it's gonna do something stupid. This is the sort of megaphone expanding symmetrical triangle formation here. These typically resolve with some kind of crazy explosive move sideways and then reversal or continuation, but it's got that look. Maybe I'll buy a few shares of Pinterest. I mean, it's kind of a wreck chart, but I believe in that thesis of diamond. Anyway, I'll keep it up there. AMD. Ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Yeah, if it breaks down here, next level support is about 60. So I've been saying kind of head and shoulder-ish. Ford. Everybody's buying Ford. They're going for the EV space, and it had a bullish chart. We've been talking about that, right? This is just a nice consolidating downward pattern. When it breaks it, I thought it's gonna go. So anyway, they got the news, and there it goes. So a nice blue dildo here on the weekly and daily as well. So that was what all today. Everybody was talking about buying Ford. All the hedge funds that I follow, they're like, I'm going to buy Ford. A lot of them hate Tesla. They hate them. That's fine. You can hate them. Yeah, multi-voop, there isn't a whole lot of structure on that. I just knew the valuation was completely wrong, so I've been very bearish on Coinbase. I typically don't, but because I'm so familiar with crypto and then the exchange side of it, I have an idea, very good idea, about how expensive it is for a lot of these exchanges. And when things aren't going well, they don't have the commissions or the volume, they suffer. And knowing that crypto was at all-time highs, I was pretty confident that there would be no interest until $250 IPO. And there was some, but it already rolled over and went through that. So unless I see some sort of death capitulation on Coinbase, which I might buy or something, I'm not touching that. So inverted head and shoulders on O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, so that is a nice looking chart, and I apologize for that little outburst. Twitter is spastic. I don't like the complex retracement here, only because of the prior structure. Let's see. But that big gap above us here from earnings. So I don't know. Not a whole lot of opinion on Twitter. I don't like the chart. Precipio, kind of holding. this $4 area. So they have a rapid COVID test on that made its way to the Amazon marketplace. So it was approved. But one of the things, and this is what I was thinking afterwards, everybody got excited. So it was bought on volume, right? And I thought, well, that is a pretty valid piece of news. But at the same time, COVID is evolving, right? So, I was thinking maybe that doesn't have long-term legs if, it doesn't test for the strain that COVID maybe eventually becomes. So maybe they have to develop another product, and then, it doesn't necessarily piggyback on the, I don't know. I don't know enough about the product, but maybe other people have researched that, and that's why this hasn't found more legs. So that was certainly one of the higher volume spikes, and it was sold into. So like these weren't high volume like this. So the fact that this came down, I don't know. Trying to figure out the fundamentals based on the price action. Anyway. Regional health properties, RHE. Overplayeds, just I see dead traders in this one. We'll get rid of it. Delete rows. Yes. Okay. Eli Lilly. Filled the gap. What, today? Yeah, filled the gap today. Man, you little old devil. I should have set up. I'm going to watch this one next week. It might be a decent short above that. There's supply here, so ARPO. What a ride this thing's been on. Jeez. But volume, gee, these. It's still holding up here. Tried, failed, pulled back. It's kind of an interesting chart. I don't know what to make of it. AMC. If the short interest on this thing is still super outstanding, still short squeeze potential here. NIO. Still ugly. Goldman Sachs. Looks good. Ranging out here. Really looks good still. Nice smart pullback. Still in trend. $400 Goldman. Here we come. LEDs. LEDs. Semi-LEDs Corp. Tulips. I won't touch this again. Alright, it's off the list. BGFV. Big Five Sporting Goods. Shoot. Fairly constructive still. That's a trend. That's definitely a trend. You need it to break this area though. Right. This is not breaking this area. So what it tends to, even though this line is here, yeah, we all like to draw our pretty lines. Right, this is still rejecting lower than this. So if it keeps doing this against what are buyers at this level, eventually, because the buyers aren't getting compensation, if it pushes below that, it flushes. So that's a descending triangle, and that's the explanation about why these fail sometimes. So I don't know. Kind of constructive, but I would want it to, on the daily, look more like this. And then have it come like that. Right? And then have some sort of push and then sharp rejection here off the 20 on the daily, 20 SMA on the daily. And then you have room for movement. But this kind of like this, like in what I was talking about, where it doesn't, right? But yet it comes all the way back down, each almost pretty close. It comes down like this, even a little lower here. But it's not a good look anyway. I think I was playing this one. Okay. Micro strategy. This is one of those that I was doing for somebody else. It's now a really ugly chart. I can see why it's appealing for some folks. Like, oh my god, it was up at 1300 and it's all the way at 454. Buy it because it's cheap relative to where it was. I don't know. It can go a lot lower. Alright, so let's delete that. I'm not going to do that next week. Trade desk. Who was saying that? Someone was saying, SMB Capital was saying this is overdone. And I just said it was not a great looking chart, but we consolidated and starting to move back up into a gap here. You see that? Big fat gap. Not into the gap yet, but I don't know. I don't like this chart personally. I just think it's ugly. But if SMB says it's overdone, they probably know. Well, they know a hell of a lot more about it than I do. And I don't really follow them for you know, their stock day trading strategies. I follow Steven Spencer on Twitter, and that's it. I enjoy his tweets immensely, but I don't really trade off of what he posts. I enjoy his perspective on the markets. So he's been a Tesla bull all the way down, but I think he's buying. He's doing it Cathie Wood style, where he's just buying and buying and buying for the long term. So we'll see. No stop. Is that how it works? No stop over there. You just buy. Urban One. I was trying to get shorts. Anyway, I had this thing. This was the one my kid is yelling. Let's see. How did I buy this thing? Not very. Okay, I bought 9. I sold. I don't know. I sold right into here. So like I made a little bit of money, and then after hours. Okay, yeah, we have to look at the 5-minute. This is just hilarious. No, was it this one or was it something else? Let's see. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was this one. Okay, that's today. So I bought this thing right after hours in this area, and then it popped up and I sold for like 982. I was like so happy. I'm like, oh, I could see there was going to be some squeeze action, right? Because this kind of stock, when it holds up into the close, they typically squeeze. And then I said, well, and then it went sideways and it didn't do anything, and it kind of got off my radar. And had I seen this, I probably would have, as it was moving up, I would have just hit the ask. I came back to it, I saw this, and I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So anyway, I bought it in here, and I sold it right in here. I was stupidly happy with that play. And then it just dumps. So you got to have quick reflexes in after hours. Like if it starts to move below, just take the loss. So I'm really lucky to have played this and won on it several times, because this is not typically the kind of stock that I play. Like I like to play the Teslas and stuff like that. Anyway, this was a crazy play that I can't believe I made money on this week. Ross. They had good earnings and just kind of gone sideways. Not the best chart technically, is it? Right? Kind of almost like expanding volatility. Yeah, the trend lines aren't perfect, but just think about it as like up, expanding, and then big, and then expansion. So I think traders are worried about just this pattern in general. And we've got gaps below. Again, kind of expanding volatility. Yeah, I mean, this is COVID. Yeah, I had it up here because I played the earnings. I made a few bucks on it, so it was good. This I played today. I bought 53s and I sold 60. And I told my boys, I'm done playing this thing. And then it came back down, and I wasn't even watching it. And all of a sudden, I just saw it blinking on the watch list or something. And then it halted right in here at 65.5 or something. And I said, oh my gosh, it's got momentum. It's going to squeeze. And I bought 66s. I sold 69. No, I sold 70 because so it's a measured move. Okay, sorry. Well, let's go into this. It was fun and it worked out. So tight stop, and you're playing with such massive momentum. You're either instantly in profit or you decide just get out. Okay, so this is the balance, and I just figured, okay, measured move is going to take us about to the time. I think I said 74 would be my conservative measured move on it. Okay, so I bought 66s. I sold 70 because I just wasn't. I'm never confident in these kind of plays. I sold 70. I sold 71s, and then I sold right at 74 the last little bit. I was so happy. And I just forgot about it. And then I came back in and I was like, this thing keeps squeezing. I didn't touch it after this, except near the close, because we were coming down into this area. I figured there's going to be shorts. So I called it out. I was like, yeah, this is squeeze. And so I think my green line, it was in Discord, right? I was like, we have a private channel, but I just announced it to the regular trading channel. It's like, throw bones out there. I said, I think it's going to do something like this. And then when I saw it lose momentum at 61, I said, okay, I'm out at 61s. And I gave people time. It was like in 61, it's still going to 62. And I was like, I was already out. So it's not like we have a big Discord. We're not moving markets or anything, right? So whatever. So that was a nice little play. Like, I think I bought 56s or something and sold 61s. So, but you got to pick your spots, man. As soon as this broke, I thought, oh God, it's just gonna fall the rest of the day because the structure is just broken. And fundamentally, this is like they ran a some sort of trial on something, and one of the patients showed cognitive improvement for an Alzheimer's drug, right? But like, it wasn't like a bunch of patients. It was like one patient. But these Alzheimer's things, it's like they pump the news. They lie about it on social forums and all kind of stuff. And then turns out this is a really small company that doesn't do shit, and they're probably just corrupt, just doing a little pump and dump or something. So anyway, it went a little bananas today, just a little bit. There's a lot of volume there, so I was out. I caught little portions of the move, right? Here to here, and then here to here. That's it. I think I said I caught like 15% of the move in terms of, distance from here to here or something, maybe here to here and then here to there. So very tiny amount of the move, but I'm happy with that. Totally happy. So anyway, I think that's it. Anybody have some requests? Oh, do I find equities trade more technically than futures? Well, I put a lot more analysis into futures. Equities, I generally trade like a lot of classical chart patterns, a lot of market profile, just general, very, very general support and resistance. Whereas with futures, I analyze the shit out of the rotations, and I'm just intimately familiar with the E-mini, so it's a hard question to answer because I'm using different tools technically to measure each thing. But like in terms of supply and demand, it's a lot more simple with individual stocks, right? Because you know that the supply is for that stock, right? Whereas the index is representing a basket full of stocks, right? So it's and those stocks can move the indexes no matter if there's supply, overhead supply or not. If you get Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google all ripping to the upside, it's not gonna, and they all just go bananas, right? It's not gonna matter if there are a whole bunch of buyers in the NASDAQ right above a level when these things start to break out. It's just gonna eat through that like candy. So it's just different. Yeah, I'm a little, like, I'm pretty chill right now. I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment. I'm a little chill right now. Just kind of, it's not a high energy YouTube review. I really enjoyed doing the Sierra chart stuff, but man, that joy was stomped on. So I'm just like, maybe I'm still a little beat down from that. It's like, you do something that benefits a company and you don't ask for compensation. It benefits people as well, but it gets hard to do something when a company is benefiting so greatly, and then they just still treat you like shit. It's like, you ruined the feeling. This was all for free. So I don't know. Unless there's a humongous outcry from users and they're like, dude, please do the Sierra chart videos. I'm done with that shit. It's like, and every week, I'll be honest, every week other trading platforms, like these guys kindly email me and say, hey, would you want to work with our platform? And this is all the things that we can do for you. And I'm not even looking for anything monetarily from Sierra chart. I just think it's superior software. You don't have to behave like there's a stick up your ass all the time. It's just the ego is just, the egos are so out of control, man. It's ridiculous. And in a lot of cases, they're contradicting themselves line by line. And I could argue it, but I'm not going to. I'll just rant a little bit about it because I'm still annoyed with the fact that they can be so belittling to another, like, it's probably some grown-ass man, and I'm a grown-ass man too. Like, if you were to talk to me like that to my face and it was the wild wild west, I'd just backhand you. Like, these guys they're in their bubble. Anyway, enough rant. last thing. What was the biggest thing that helped you make the turn in your trading? Psychology. Just psychology in general is what made me more successful as a trader. Because if you can't control your emotions, all the technical stuff you learn, you're not going to be able to use it when you have money on the line. So you really have to control your emotions and think rationally and logically when the shit is hitting the fan. Be willing to take your loss. I don't know. There was a day last week where I lost money on the E-mini like 4 straight trades, and I got like destroyed. Thesis was wrong. Stops were too tight. Size was a bit. It was okay. It was pretty big size, but I was okay with it. And I just got destroyed, like 4 or 5 straight times. And then I was down just a fuck ton of money. I was like, man, I almost want to just shut it off. But if I had shut it off, I would be saying that, the edge that I've already defined and know exists in the market, I'm now close to that because emotionally I'm too damaged. So I just sat there and it was like, the same setup I think still exists here. So I'm going to get short again. And I know I'm going to hit this top and I'm going to turn it into like a 4 to 5 1 R's winner. And I eventually nailed it, and I made up all the money, and then ended up having a nice size green day after several trades after that. But the 4 or 5 in a row losing trades on full size, full stops. Oh man, that if I were a younger trader, that would have destroyed me. Like, I probably would have stopped trading for the week. I would have just said like, God, I got my ass handed to me. But now I have the emotional maturity to just take a step back and say like, nope, I'm still trading my edge, and I'm gonna continue to do that. So for me, that's probably it, because you do end up having consecutive losses in a row, especially when markets get parabolic, and you're playing your predefined resistance levels, which is how I always play, right? It moves into an area, I see big absorption, I'm fighting for price, I catch what I think is an edge, and I'm looking for my 3 to 5 points off that area. In a lot of those cases, I was in profit at some point on every single one of those trades, I think. In profit by maybe 2.5 points, and I never got my target of like between 3 and 5 points. And so it would rip back up, and I would stop out 2 to 3 points, and boom, lose. So that's mentally, that could be tough, because you're like, it can be painful to lose. 1, your brain wants to avoid pain. 2, and short term, your brain is trying to tell you like, avoid that pain. And so when you stop 3, 4 times, 5 times in a row on trades, and you take the small losses, but they all start to add up because you're trading on size maybe, or something like that. Well, that's just part of the game, right? And you have to recognize. So I was shorting into a parabolic move on the E-mini, and you have to recognize that the further it goes on that parabolic move, the more it's going to retrace. So if you let your panties get in a bunch and you're like, oh shit, I'm puckered, I don't want to play this anymore because this is just too painful, it keeps going higher and higher and higher. Well, that's an emotional response. The rational, logical response is, yeah, it doesn't have to retrace, but this thing is now perfectly straight up, and yeah, I keep getting my hand slapped on these trades. But you have to recognize now your risk reward is improving. because when all that turns into supply, they're just going to shit it down, and that's what ended up happening. That's why I was able to make money. But a newer trader, or like a trader who has an emotionally tougher time with losses, wouldn't even be thinking about that. They would just be thinking like, they might feel some heat in their face, and they might be a little shaky or something like that, and they might just like not be able to analyze the scenario anymore. Just like I'm just losing, and I'm losing, and I'm losing, and now, well, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm losing, I'm wrong all the time, right? It's my kid. It's directly challenging your ego as well, right? And your sense of like you're in control, you're smart, right? So that is a really tough thing to deal with. And it's only after you've made that mistake a bunch of times and actually gone through the emotion of that sort of that internal sparring, can you finally be calm in those situations. But you have to be aware that, like, okay, that's happening. Read some good books on it, that kind of thing, and reflect a lot, because it's like anybody, like the first time somebody goes out and performs publicly, most people are shitting themselves. They may have stage fright, or like, sometimes singers, if they're overly nervous, their voice doesn't perform the same way. It cracks, or the vibrato changes. They don't sound the same. But once you realize over time that, yeah, one, you're not gonna die if you trade that way. You'll be okay. Well, then you can go like, okay, well, you can pool on your experiences and say like, I've been in this situation before and it didn't kill me, and as long as I keep trading my edge, and I turn it over, I'll eventually get back to winning, because this has this has a history of producing. And interestingly enough, a lot of new traders, when they are trading with edge, if they have a few losses in a row, they stop. And that's precisely what you need to not do anymore. If you start if you quit throwing the dice, right, and you know that there's an edge to, like, their weighted die or something like that, you're actually going to hurt yourself, because they're in, like, the sort of the Monte Carlo, there's always going to be a string of losses, but you have to keep rolling. You have to keep playing to get the string of wins. And if you sort of all of a sudden stop, as long as you're playing the same edge that has history as having edge, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. And what a lot of new traders do is they'll find something that has an edge, and then they'll have a few losses, and then they don't want to play that kind of edge anymore, even though historically it might be okay. It's the pain of the recent losses that prevents them from continuing to play. And then they'll try to redefine their edge. They'll go look for something else, right? And it's like, you have to realize that losses, consecutive losses, is a normal part of trading. So anyway, that's a lot of that is, it's math, but it's also psychological. It's like emotionally, how do you react to your losses? Yeah, the tilt is real. Multi-voop, I do watch the DOM quite a bit. And my depth of market is pretty simple. It's for the E-mini, at least. I know a little off topic, but this is an equities review. But for the E-mini, I just have pulling and stacking, and then bid and ask depth, and that's it. I don't have like recent bid volume or ask volume or any deltas on there, or anything like that. Those are all on my, essentially on my charts through footprint and stuff like that. But like today, someone is asking me, we have like a moderators chat, and those guys in there, like, they know that, they know that I have edge. Okay, so they ask me a lot of questions throughout the day, and we have good conversations. You know, they're always providing value and stuff, but when I post something in like trade focus, they're always asking me questions. And they know I have to trade, so you know, sometimes I'm delayed in responding to them. But like they assume that I'm always looking at the footprint, and it's not the case. Like today, I was mainly just trading off candle structure, TPO, and my DOM, and I hadn't even looked at the footprint. And I made a bunch. You know, I'm on a little bit of a streak where I'm, you know, 100% win rate right now for a while. So, you know, it's what was working for me. The TPO structure was speaking loudly and clearly to me on the weekly, and then sort of the daily TPOs, and then just looking at candle structure. And you know, like when I say candle, that includes like say Renko or something like that. But and then just the DOM, I was, you know, in a groove with it, and I thought I could see sort of when players were getting a little bit more aggressive and when there was a lack of selling interest, looking at time and sales, you know, moving into certain predefined support areas, and you know, it turned out that you know, provided me an excellent edge. So I didn't feel the need to add the footprint for confluence or anything in that moment. When I did look at it after they had asked, I looked at it and I was like, no, like the candle structure's giving me what I need here, and it's reactive, and the TPO levels are reactive. I'm just going to go ahead and short certain areas and long others, and you know, I hit all my 3 to 5 point targets on all my trades, so it was good. Anyway, multi-voop, the pooling in Sierra on the DOM is just a basic setting. But you know, if you come to our Discord, I'm sure, man, somebody there would walk you through it, or even just give you the settings. Yeah, Indigo, it's oh, okay. Yeah, multi-voop. Just ask somebody, because it's like it's literally a few clicks. It's not, the pulling and stacking isn't complicated. It's like let's see. I'm gonna go hang out with my family here pretty soon, but it's like chart DOM. Oh God, where is it? It's been a while. Not chart DOM settings. Like, it's pretty simple, but it's okay. So go into trade, customize chart trade DOM columns, right? So if let's say this was, oops, let's say this was my DOM here. So you just click on it to make sure you're in it, and then go to trade, and then go to customize chart trade DOM columns. You see that, how it comes up? And then you would just go like bid, market, depth, pooling, and stacking, and then you just add it, and then you get it in the right column, right? So you want to move it probably up. See that? And then you would put the ask market depth on there, boom, and see how it's selected. So move it down, right? And then you want to do the alignment. Do you want it in the center? You probably want it on the left. And then the bid side, since it's on the left, you want it aligned to the right. Right? Maybe you want the volume bars in there as a background. Maybe not. I don't really care to have them. Right? And then you just hit OK. And then you're like, well, let's see here. Let me remove that. All right. And then maybe you're like, man, the colors are all funky. Okay, that's simple enough. All you gotta do is you go to right? You would be adding it to your trade DOM. So you go to Graphics Settings, Global. And then, so you see how this is chart DOM? So if you add a DOM to your chart, and it's attached here, right? Kind of like, here, let's do it. See that? That's a chart DOM, right? It's not your trade DOM, right? It's a chart DOM, okay? So your trade DOM is its own window, okay? So if you add that chart DOM, that's in the global graphics settings global. When you scroll down, that's the chart DOM colors. That's what that refers to. Your separate window is called a trade DOM. So, see, look at me. I still help with Sierra chart stuff. I don't mind it, but just having all those videos up there, and they know exactly who I am. That's the thing. Sierra Charts sent me messages before. Hey, do you want to maybe help promote our product or do something with us? And I was like, this was last year, early part of last year. I'm like, you know, I'm still too much of a Sierra Chart noob to feel comfortable with that. And they're like, okay, well, whatever. We appreciate your nice charts you post and stuff like that. This is like April of last year. So it's not, they know who I am. They're anti-Twitter, but they still check Twitter. Bastards. Anyway, so you go to trade. Look at these rants you're hearing. Trade DOM. Okay, so there's so much shit here, but you'll find it. It's trade DOM. Just keep going. Be like trade DOM. Pooling, stacking. See that? So trade DOM, bid market, pooling. So bid market, depth, pooling, stacking. All right. So this one refers to if something is stacked, and then this one refers to if something is pooled, right? So if they're adding on the DOM, I want it blue. If they're pooling it, I want it this color. So you might, if you're using a red-green, this might be green, and this might be red. And then the ask market is just going to be exactly the same. Because really all you care about is you want to be able to notice the difference. That when something is being added, right, it's green or blue, whatever your color format is. And then when it's being removed, it's red. And it doesn't matter if it's being added or removed on the bid side or the ask side. Right? So that's kind of like, I see a lot of people have this colored wrong. It doesn't actually help them. Their coloration doesn't help them at all. I've seen people leave the standardized colors in here, and it's like, no, guys. You just want to know if something's being added to the ask side or the bid side. So this controls the ask, this controls the bid. So there you go. Multi-voop, you're welcome. All right, anyway, have a great weekend, folks. I hope this week was successful. And yeah, take it easy.